SVG Ventures Thrive is an innovation and investment platform based in Silicon Valley, and we're focused on the agri-food tech sector. We work with global corporations, farmers, and startups to advance the future of food and agriculture through innovation. We work with over 5,000 startups from 100 countries, and our Thrive Accelerator was ranked the #1 agri-food accelerator by AgFunder. We've graduated an international cohort every year since 2014. Crunchbase ranks SVG Ventures as the most active AgTech investor with over 50 investments to date in the sector, and those startups have created almost $1 billion in value. Our open innovation programs and corporate challenges identify technologies for our partners that accelerate their innovation priorities, investment, and acquisition strategies. We were honored to launch the USDA Innovation Imperative at the Agricultural Outlook Forum with the US Secretary of Agriculture. We run major agri-food events and regional challenges around the world with partners like Forbes Media, and these key events are bringing our corporate partners, farmers, investors, and startups and the entire ecosystem together.
Well, we think that Thrive is our most important relationship in terms of understanding the AgTech landscape. The thing that we really appreciate with Thrive is that they help us bring together this whole vast landscape of tech startups to our industry. And that's really a great value because there's so much going on in this space that for us, it'd be too much to try to make sense of, but Thrive does a great job of that.
Being a part of Thrive has meant an incredible network of world-leading AgTech entrepreneurs, as well as very powerful connections to large corporations who are interested in or already actively engaged in innovation in agriculture.
People have great ideas around the world, and what they've done a really nice job of is convince these folks, one, to come and interact with us, two, to listen to our problems so they can then adopt and adapt their technology or their solution to our problem. And it's going to make change and improvement and sustainability move ahead much more quickly for our industry. And so Thrive helps bridge that gap between the know-how in Silicon Valley and the application here with growers in the Salinas Valley and growers around the world.
It is really something that you couldn't get on your own as a startup. There's just no way you could facilitate that type of networking and that type of opportunity without someone like Thrive. And I think they just do it best.
Welcome to the Thrive Top 50 event, where we will announce our annual Top 50 AgTech and Top 50 Food Tech scale-up companies that are leading the agri-food revolution. And I'm delighted to be joined here by Sherry Phillips, who's Chief Marketing Officer of Forbes Media, who have been a great partner of SVG Thrive for the past 8 years, and we will chat with Sherry in a little bit. Before we get started, I'd like you to maybe go on the next slide, and here is our social media tags. If you'd like to join the conversation or tweet out any of the interesting things that you're seeing from our presentation today, please feel free. Hashtag Thrive Top 50 is the hashtag. On the next slide, we're delighted to be joined by almost 600 people on our next slide. And we have quite a number of people from across the world, people from over 30 countries, so well represented internationally. And as you can see, we have quite a number of folks from both the finance and agribusiness and scale up and startup. So welcome to today's conversation. On our next slide, we have an audience poll today. We'd really like to get your feedback with regard to what category of technology will be the most influential in AgTech going forward? And the second one is what category will be the most influential in food tech innovation going forward? So Alicia will share that poll with you now. So if you want to try and maybe fill that out, and we'll take a look at your thoughts on that very shortly. On our next slide. So as you've heard, SVG Ventures is a global innovation and investment platform, and our vision is to advance the future of food and agriculture through innovation. And we've been ranked #1 as the most active investor and #1 as the top agri-food accelerator in the world. And we work with almost 6,000 startups around the world right now. So next slide. We have been delighted to work with Forbes over the course of the last 8 years, doing the Forbes AgTech Summit and the Future of Food Summit. And we will do the Future of Food Summit on June 30th, 2022. And look forward to seeing many of you then, or doing it virtually. Hopefully we'll be in person. On the next slide, I'd like to welcome Sherry. I've had the honor of working with Sherry now for several years. So Sherry has been Chief Sales and Marketing Officer at Forbes. So welcome, Sherry.
Hi, everyone.
So I think there we go. I think we see you now, Sherry.
Hi, everyone.
Great to see you, Sherry. Welcome again. And I think we're kind of going coast to coast. I'm here in California, you're in New York. So great to catch up. Just wanted to maybe kick off with a couple of questions from a Forbes perspective. Why is Forbes interested in agri-food? I know you've been involved in this for several years, but just to get a perspective from yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, John. We've been great partners with Thrive for over 7 years now. I had this wonderful partnership that really began focusing really on ag tech specifically. And really what attracted Forbes to the community was the entrepreneurship and the innovation and the technology that's happening every day. That has really grown now, as we can see now, over 30 countries represented here, and just so much innovation and creativity happening in this space. So each year the partnership has grown, and both our communities have grown. So it's exciting to be here at this moment when it's really on the national stage right now. So it's been a fun journey for us.
Excellent. Thanks, Sherry. And in terms of like the hot areas that, are getting a lot of media attention today, I mean, how would you kind of view that in this agri-food world on the kind of interesting, kind of most topical areas?
I mean, well, listen, we all know that sustainability is one of the hottest topics that we're seeing right now, along with enterprise tech and of course, digital assets. So I would say, and enterprise tech is going to feed both sustainability and digital assets. So I think, really, I would put my money right now on sustainability and digital assets, and where that growth, where that transformation is coming, the innovation, it's at warp speed right now, and it's exciting to see both of those areas accelerate. Yeah,
we're definitely seeing that for sure, and obviously we kind of share some of that today. I mean, there's now, quite a number of, digital technology companies, robotic automation, et cetera, that are now unicorn companies that are really kind of growing and scaling incredibly fast here. And in terms of maybe on some of the macro picture, if you kind of look at kind of key growth drivers for 2022 or looking to the next decade, what do you think will be kind of the big areas that are going to drive the biggest growth here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think for, food and sustainability, the deadlines are on us, right? So thankfully, enterprise tech and innovation has not slowed down. It's only accelerated during the pandemic. So, but there will be real accountability in this area, which is incredible to see right now. So both the supply and demand are there, and I think we'll see some real incredible changes come out within the next few years and in the next decade. But also too, as we see, just kind of the global innovation happening here, we're seeing it. And again, the pandemic kind of lent itself to having more collaboration, which is kind of ironic, right? Because we're not together, but we're seeing this global collaboration happening across different time zones, across different countries, and it's been transformational.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think certainly when you look at the last 2 years with COVID, it's really kind of driven a level of urgency and focus on this, not just from entrepreneurs or industry, but governments are really kind of taking a really strong look at the the food supply chain, and obviously sustainability and climate have really kind of, moved to the top in terms of kind of key areas. So hopefully we'll see this kind of play out in a positive way going forward. Obviously, talking about COVID, I mean, we're all, I guess, zoomed out at this stage in terms of virtual events, and looking to this year. I mean, what are Forbes' plans in terms of, events? And I guess what we're really trying to find out is, when do you think we're going to start seeing in-person events and kind of getting back to some form of normality?
Well, God, I hope soon, right? I hope we all hope soon. But I will say this: last year we produced 83 events.
Wow.
5 were in person. Obviously, most of them were virtual. We right now on the calendar have almost 70 events planned for the year. And it's a mix. So it's a mix of in-person, virtual, and hybrid. We just concluded a study which went to, I think, 100,000 responses came back in asking our audiences. And, we range from everything from C-suite to women to under 30, lots of custom events for particularly enterprise tech. And so we reached out and did a survey at the end of the year asking our customers, our audiences, what they wanted. And ultimately what they want is choice. So some will be in person, some will, want to continue on virtual. But at the end of the day, they want choice, and they want that choice. They want that choice up until the last minute. So I think as, plans are getting underway and people are making those calls, they want that flexibility, which is where hybrid will be really important, and also be really important for global audiences. So if we are gathering, in New York or Silicon Valley, we know that we have our global partners with us. So I think that'll be a real key driver. It's interesting for us. We've been pretty quiet so far in Q1 with in person, but we are planning 2 events in the Middle East in March. So we are getting back out there, and we're excited for what this year holds for us.
Yeah, well, that's great news, Sherry. I mean, I think the entire world is ready for, to get out and start meeting people. And obviously events and content is really important, but just meeting people and convening great people at events is a great way to build relationships and build business and build trust with people as well. So we're looking forward to that as well. So maybe if we could...
I left out a key factor, actually.
Yeah.
In the survey, the number one community that wanted to get back in person was AgTech.
Really?
And
okay.
Yes, so that was the number one community that wanted to get back to in-person events. The second one was our under 30 community. So those are the communities that are ready to get back at it. So
okay,
we'll be there soon.
Excellent. So the AgTech, the outdoors world, and the under 30 party people want to get back together again.
They do.
That's great.
All the entrepreneurs want to get back together. They're ready for it.
Excellent. Maybe we can take a look at the poll. Maybe Alicia, if you could maybe just share the poll results that we did earlier. Just looking at this, it's interesting to see how well this is split. If you look at AgTech, you've kind of got leading is robotics automation. And I know, a big driver of robotics automation is due to the shortage of labor or the availability of labor and driving efficiency. So it's interesting to see that come out really, really strong. But it's very much kind of neck and neck with, you mentioned this earlier, digital farm management and insights at 28% and controlled environment indoor farming at 28%. So they seem to be kind of like the audience's view in terms of the AgTech, changes there. And on the food tech side, I'm not surprised. Alternative proteins, 41% of people feel obviously that's going to be the hottest area as we go forward in the food tech area. And I think again, people's awareness of where their food is coming from, their health conscious, their planet and sustainability conscious, obviously driving a lot of that. And then that's obviously closely followed by personal nutrition and food safety and traceability. So any thoughts, comments on that? Surprises, Sherry?
No, I mean, I think you nailed it there. I think people really want to know where their food is coming from. And they want choices right now. So I think it's, and they're getting choices. They're having those moments. So I think we'll continue to see that.
Yep. Excellent. Well, Sherry, great to see you on Zoom. Hope to see you in person at the next Forbes event. And again, thank you. And thank you for your team for all the great support and partnership over the years. And looking forward to getting back in action in 2022.
Likewise. Thanks for having me. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Sherry. Take
Bye-bye.
care. So Alicia, you might just share our slides as we kind of kick into the top 50. This is probably more the data side of our conversation. And on our next slide, before we get into the top 50 itself, I'll just wait for the slides to change. We, as part of our top 50, we normally do a couple of key articles across our book and top 50. And I'd like to thank a number of our contributors. Fran Dillard from Driscoll Berries, really great piece that she did in terms of some of their work at Driscoll's and also with Plenty. I'd like to also thank Rachel Conrad. Rachel talked a lot around sustainability, obviously from Impossible Foods. She's got lots to say around that. It's a really interesting one. And then we had a great article on agriculture, robotics, and automation by Koji Hasegawa from Kubota, and really interesting insights there as well. And then finally, I'd like to thank Amy Wu. Amy has been on the journey with us for probably about 8 or 9 years now, and very passionate about celebrating women in AgTech. So really some good articles there. And also I'd like to thank our team, Sean Paquette and Jason Covey and our team for being able to produce this. On the next slide, Alicia, in terms of how we categorize and how we went through this process, I mean, obviously, basing this on some key data and some key points, but also basing it on momentum and feedback from various different corporates. So we're typically looking at the total amount of funding that has been raised by these companies. We're looking at the funding acceleration, in terms of how much funding they've raised recently. We're evaluating the teams, the traction that the companies have, their value chain efficiency. And this year, was our first year really kind of taking a hard look at the sustainability impact. I think this is going to be something that's going to be with us for decades to come. So how are we measuring impact? What are the startups or scale-up companies that are making the biggest impact from a sustainability perspective? And then finally, just for everybody, we focus on private companies. Once companies go public or exit, we're not putting them into the mix of this. So this is very much a private company list. Next slide, Alicia. I'd like to thank our global partners. These are many of the biggest companies in the world in agri-food that have provided input and insights and involvement in terms of our program. So thank you for your support there. On the next slide. So we evaluated companies from all over the world. On the AgTech side, there was almost 7,000 companies that we evaluated, went through a series of over 6 months of evaluation to get to the top 50. And likewise on the FoodTech, same journey, a little bit more than 7,000 and bring it down to the top 50 companies as well. Next slide, Alicia. So, this area and this category is growing rapidly in terms of investment. Investment has not slowed down because of COVID, has not plateaued. It has really accelerated. This is the PitchBook data. It includes both venture capital going into AgTech and also venture capital going into FoodTech. Now, FoodTech stretches quite a bit, not just obviously protein, supply chain, and delivery solutions. So that's a bigger number than normal. But PitchBook's estimates for 2021 are close to 50 billion, which is absolutely incredible. And I know that AgFunder tracked this as well, and they probably will come out with somewhere around 30 billion plus. So no matter which number you look at, these are very, very significant in terms of the growth and scale in terms of venture capital in this space. On the next slide. So, the incumbents that are out there, this is just a short view of some of the biggest companies in the AgTech and agri-food area. These are major companies that are making and running the agri-food industry, but at the same time, these unicorns and AgTech, FoodTech companies these are the ones that we're seeing really kind of scaling as they move up here. And obviously key areas around sustainability and healthy agri-food systems are some of the bigger drivers associated with this. Next slide. So just to kind of either welcome or congratulate the unicorns, these are companies that are now billion-dollar plus companies. On the AgTech, we're seeing 11 companies here. Obviously, some of these are well-known companies, and congratulations on getting to that level and surpassing it in many cases. And likewise on the food tech side, again, a lot of delivery companies here that are driving significant valuations as well. On the next slide. So this is our Thrive Top 50 Food and Thrive Top 50 Ag supply chain map. So what we do on this is, rather than just coming up with a bunch of lists of companies and logos, we really wanted to kind of tie it into where these companies are making their biggest impact in the supply chain, whether it's in the field, whether it's logistics, supply chain, distribution, delivery. You can see exactly where these companies are sitting in the supply chain here. And you can see that on the map once you get to download that. On the next slide. So how much money have these companies raised, and who's raising the biggest numbers? So we created this pyramid just to give you a sense of the top 150 food, 50 ag tech companies, and really kind of give you a flavor of these are the companies that have raised the most money. And you can see on the top, there's like 9 companies that have raised over $1 billion already. Again, many big names that you'd be familiar with there on that side. And then companies that have raised $500 million and above, there's 12 companies, and then so on. You can see the breakdown. Obviously, still a lot of companies in that kind of 150 million level of funds raised, but again, significant dollars, significant valuations and funding raised here. On the next slide. This is the top 10 in the way we evaluated. We looked at all these companies, obviously, in terms of their financials and how they're growing, the problems that they're solving. But we did take a really hard look at what is the impact to the planet? What is the impact in terms of saving, scarce resources, reducing less pesticides, reducing crop usage, reducing our footprint from a carbon perspective. And these are the top 10 companies that we believe out of the 100 companies that are making the biggest impact. So again, congratulations. I think this is going to be a really important area for us going forward. And these are the companies that, again, are going to be saving our planet. So congratulations to those. On the next slide. Just getting into the details a little bit on the top 50 ag tech landscape. Again, we're typically looking at these, from a category perspective: controlled environment, robotics, automation, marketplaces, farm management, plant breeding platforms, crop nutrition, crop protection. And you can see, again, the companies that are actually making the impacts there on the ag tech side. On the next slide. On the ag tech area, just kind of breaking it down, some of the key exits this year, Ginkgo Bioworks, Benson Hill, Greenlight Bio. These are SPAC/IPOs, AppHarvest, Prospera, Bear Flag Robotics. These are some of the bigger exits that we're just noting there. And in terms of just where are the startups and scale-ups based or coming from, probably no surprise, US is leading the way, but obviously great to see, companies hitting on the ag tech side coming from Canada, France, Israel as kind of the top nations producing the biggest and growing companies here. And then just in terms of funding stage, we're seeing that majority of these companies are kind of Series B and beyond in terms of their fundraising journey. On the next slide. Again, looking at these companies, obviously not able to go through all the 50 companies right now, but kind of the top 10 in terms of what we're saying is known valuations. Some of these don't have their full valuations fully shown, but just kind of showing you Farmers, Farmers Business Network has obviously kind of significantly grown over the course of the last year with some of the fundraising and almost hitting a $4 billion valuation, followed by Indigo, Bowery, Pivot Bio. Plenty, who you've probably seen more recently, has raised significant investment more recently, over 400 million investment over the course of the last number of weeks. Infarm, Inari, Aerofarms, Y-Insect, and Grow Intelligence. So these are kind of like the top 10. And then you can kind of see the categories in terms of the funding categories, depending on whether it's agribusiness, which looks like it's kind of number one marketplaces, which would be obviously Farm Business Network, Farmers Business Network, Controlled Environment, obviously our friends at Aerofarms, Bowery, and Plenty really making a further big impact this year, and so on. So again, congratulations to those companies for what they're achieving. On the next slide. On the food tech, so just changing gears, going from green to orange food. Again, we kind of broke down the categories: alternative proteins, novel ingredients, restaurant tech, meal kits, health and nutrition, supply chain logistics, quality and safety, marketplaces, and retail. So again, just to kind of give you a flavor of the categories that we've looked at. And then again, we've kind of segmented those companies that are making the biggest impact in those areas across the supply chain. Again, this is obviously closer to the consumer. On the next slide. Again, just looking at the food tech numbers, some of the exits that we saw, and IPOs, Grab, Walt, Grubhub, Big Basket, Fresh Direct. Again, congratulations on the exits, there. Again, in terms of the top 50 private companies that we're measuring, we're seeing 30 of those coming from the United States. It's very interesting to see India so strong with 4 companies, followed by China, the Netherlands, and the UK. So really interesting to see that. And I see one from Australia, which is probably V2 Meats or V2 Foods. So great to see that international spread there. And then again, we're seeing these companies are well on their way on their funding rounds, obviously Series B and beyond in terms of where they're at on their stages. Next slide. Again, just kind of looking at, again, the top 10, we're seeing the top 10 by valuation. And again, you can see the very significant numbers that are there on the food tech. Instacart, obviously at a 45 billion. Ginseng selected Chinese-based company, 12 billion delivery company. Swiggy, Nuro, Rappi, Cloud, Noom, obviously, Impossible, and We in Appeal. So again, really significant valuations there. Obviously, food tech is demanding much higher volumes, and it's obviously led in terms of marketplaces and retail. Again, food delivery is definitely driving a lot of the investment dollars again, and continues to be a big area. On the next slide. So just maybe, wrapping up in terms of our conversation today, you can download this top 50 from our website, thriveagrifood.com. If you want to learn more about those companies and get more of the details, that's available. We'll be publishing out articles on this over the coming weeks as well. And then finally, we'll be back in action. We're going to be participating at the World Agri-Food Summit, which is on March 21st, 25th in San Francisco. We will host our Thrive 2022 Seed Camp. We're bringing 20 companies, 10 from Canada, 10 from across the world, to our summit and to our Seed Camp. And obviously, if you're in town for the Agri-Food Summit, say hello. We look forward to catching up with people in person. And I think that's my last slide. So maybe going to the final. Again, congratulations to all the companies for their participation in the Thrive top 50. Well done on another stellar year in terms of both investment and scaling your companies. Again, exciting times from an agri-food perspective. And again, I'd like to thank our Forbes partners. Sherry, thank you again for participating on our event today, and also looking forward to doing our Future Food Summit in June 30th. Again, everybody, thank you for tuning in today. Please check it out on our website, and look forward to advancing the future of food and agriculture through innovation. Thank you.